In the quiet village of Umuchi, located in the heart of Nigeria, where the sun kissed the dusty roads and the air smelled of ripe mangoes and roasted corn, there lived a woman named Ojeki. She was a food seller, known far and wide for her delicious meals. Her shop stood in the middle of the market, and every day, people flocked to her, ignoring the other food vendors in the village. Even though the other food sellers, like Mama Chidi and Adeku, worked hard and cooked with fresh ingredients, they never seemed to attract as many customers as Ojeki. Ojeki's food had a strange, almost addictive quality. It was said that once you tasted her soup, you would never be satisfied by any other meal. Her jollof rice was like nothing anyone had ever eaten, and her pepper soup had a way of soothing the deepest hungers and worries of the heart. People would travel from nearby villages just to get a plate of Ojeki's food, leaving the other vendors to sit idly by, their pots untouched. But there was something sinister that no one knew. Ojeki had a secret, one that she guarded fiercely. In the dead of night, when the village was asleep and only the crickets sang, Ojeki would perform a ritual. In the privacy of her small kitchen, she would kneel before an old, cracked clay pot, whispering incantations taught to her by an ancient spirit that lived deep within the forest. The spirit had once visited her in a dream, telling her that if she wanted her food to become irresistible, she needed to add something special, her own menstrual blood. At first, Ojeki was horrified by the suggestion. But as she struggled to sell her food while her competitors thrived, desperation set in. She visited the old spirit, deep in the forest, who promised her that the power of blood could bind people to her food. Hesitantly, she agreed. The first time she did it, she mixed a small amount of her blood into the soup she was preparing for the day. She felt a strange energy course through her body as she stirred the pot. The next day, her shop was overflowing with customers. Word spread like wildfire that Ojeki's food was unlike anything anyone had ever tasted. People from all corners of the region came to eat, and soon, her neighbors' businesses dried up. Mama Chidi, one of the other food vendors, noticed that things were getting strange. She had been in the market for over 20 years and had never seen such an abrupt shift in customers. One afternoon, she decided to pay Ojeki a visit. As she approached Ojeki's shop, she noticed the faint smell of something off, something that wasn't quite right. She peered into the kitchen but saw nothing out of the ordinary, just pots of bubbling soups and freshly fried plantains. Determined to find out what was going on, Mama Chidi consulted an elder in the village, a man known for his wisdom and knowledge of the supernatural. She told him about the sudden change and how Ojeki's food seemed to have a hold over the people. The elder listened carefully and, after a long pause, said, "There is a darkness at play here. Ojeki is using something unnatural to bind the spirits of the people to her food." The elder gave Mama Chidi a charm, a simple string of cowrie shells blessed with protection. "Wear this when you go near her shop again. It will reveal the truth." The next morning, Mama Chidi returned to the market, the cowrie shells hidden beneath her wrapper. As she stood near Ojeki's store, the charm began to glow faintly, and suddenly, Mama Chidi saw it, a shadowy presence hovering over Ojeki's cooking pot. The smell of blood and decay filled her nostrils, and she realized that the elder had been right. Ojeki was using something unnatural, something evil. Mama Chidi rushed back to the elder, who told her that the only way to break Ojeki's spell was to expose her in front of the villagers. "But be careful," the elder warned. "She will not give up her power easily." That evening, as the sun set and the villagers gathered at the market, Mama Chidi stood in the center of the square and called out to them. "My people, something strange has been happening in this village. We are no longer free to eat where we choose. We are being bound by forces we do not understand." Ojeki, who had been serving customers with a wide smile, stiffened at Mama Chidi's words. Her eyes narrowed, and she knew that her secret was at risk of being exposed. Mama Chidi continued, "Ojeki has been using dark magic to make us crave her food. She is not cooking with love or care, but with something evil." She reached into her wrapper and pulled out the glowing cowrie shells, holding them high for all to see. The villagers gasped as the air around Ojeki's store shimmered, revealing the dark spirit that hovered over her pot. A foul stench filled the air, and people recoiled in horror. Ojeki, seeing that her secret had been exposed, tried to run, but the villagers quickly surrounded her. "You have used us for your selfish gain," they shouted. "You have poisoned us with your evil ways." In desperation, Ojeki begged for forgiveness, but it was too late. The villagers, led by Mama Chidi and the elder, banished her from Omochi. Her shop was burned to the ground, and the spirit that had once given her power was sent back to the forest where it belonged. As for Mama Chidi and the other food vendors, they returned to their businesses, and the village once again thrived. The people of Omochi were free to choose where they wanted to eat, and the memory of Ojeki's dark magic slowly faded into legend, a warning to anyone who would seek power through evil means. And so, the village of Omochi lived in peace, its people now wiser to the dangers of greed and unnatural desires.